Hey everybody out there, I want to go ahead and welcome you to my gaming corner. Today I'm going to be doing another little video on how to play and a playthrough of the Prologue, which is called Assault on the House. This is the little scenario they give you to kind of get you familiar with the game mechanics, and it's just like a slimmed down version of the game. It really only involves the combat of the game, which is really one phase of the game, but it is probably one of the more important and heavier handed phases of the game. So what I have here is I have pretty much everything laid out that comes in the core box, and we'll go through the components that need to be pulled for the prologue and the ones that can be set aside or put back in the game box for since we won't be using those for the prologue. So once we come back, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about each of those components and then start pulling what we need to and getting things set up. Alright, so for starters, what we need to go ahead and pull is the two safe house. These are called the safe house tiles, and on one side they're actually going to be marked as safe house. I think on the B side it'll say safe house first floor, and this is safe house second floor. So we'll need the two big tiles, so we'll go ahead and set those aside as part of our equipment. We'll need the action board, and we'll also need the 12 smaller tiles, and we're not putting those on the specific orientation where they need to be. We're just kind of setting everything aside that we're going to need. We'll need the dice that comes with the game. We'll need some not action boards, but the player boards. The game comes with 5, and the only difference in the player boards are going to be their little player color here. And we have yellow, red, green, orange, and blue. You can do the prologue with as many characters as you want, as little as 1 and as many as 5. However, I'm going to probably run the prologue with just 2 survivors. That way it kind of keeps things down to about as minimum as they can be, but still gives me a little variety. So I've chosen 2, so I'm going to put the other ones back into the box because we're not going to be using those. The next thing we'll need to get is our players here. Now, we only need to choose the ones for the player boards that we did, so we're going to go with the orange and the blue, and the rest of those can go back into the game box. I've set aside some of the zombies. It doesn't need all of them that come with the game, so I've pulled 6 of them because when you initially start the game, the prologue, it wants you to spawn 2 zombies for every character that you have in play. So I pulled 6 of the fresh zombies here because 4 are going to go on the initial board, and then another 2 are going to go into the house that's being attacked. And then I've also pulled an equal number of weaker zombies because when you hit a regular zombie or a fresh zombie, it turns into a weaker zombie. So have those set aside. I think that's all I'm going to need, so I went ahead and just kind of set the other ones aside since I don't think I'll need those, but you might want to keep those near the board at least because you might be pulling from those. The story booklet, we're not going to be needing the story booklet for the prologue, so this is actually what you start after you take that, after you finish the prologue, so we'll go ahead and set that aside. We need the survivor deck here, so let's go ahead and set that here. We'll need the armory deck. We do not need the mutations deck. However, you need to pull the one that says horde. You need to pull that horde card out of the mutates deck and then set that with those, and the other mutate cards can go away. The crafting deck and these blue cards here can go back in the box. We will not need those for the prologue as well. Now your perks deck, you go ahead and separate these out. You'll set those aside. The critical wounds, the food, and the resources. Now from what I understand, since I haven't actually played through the prologue yet, is the food and the resources, the perks, they might not even come up. I'm not sure why they had us pull those and set them aside, but I'm going to go ahead and put them there just in case I'm not seeing something. And we'll just have those on the board for play. Now, I've already separated all my tokens out and everything, so I have all those set aside, even though we won't be using the majority of them. I know that we'll be using the zombie token, and we'll be using they call these tracker squares here. We'll also be using whichever players that we have. We'll use their meeple, and we possibly might even use their little square tokens, the one that says stash or a death token. We will not be using the action tokens that come with each player. Those are used in the regular game when we're actually using the action board and doing different steps during the day. Alright, so this blue one is also one of our players, and we'll go ahead and pull his tokens here, square tokens, just in case we need those. And everything else I'm going to kind of set aside. We have some radiation tokens, we have our junk wall, sandbags, other things for like searching. Oh, we need the zombie spawn points, those squares here, so go ahead and set those aside as well. And I think everything else I'm just going to leave in here. I don't believe I'll need it, but I will keep it close by just in case. Alright, so these are all the components that we're going to need for the prologue. And when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and start the individual setup of each step and then talk about the components as we're setting those up. Alright, so the first thing we want to start with is the abandoned first floor. This is one of the bigger tiles, and it's going to be on the B side. It says ZB, but the label is first floor abandoned house. And then what we're going to do is take the 12 tiles, 12 small tiles, and we're going to use their B side where it says the ZB. I know that's kind of hard to see, but yeah, it says the B right there. And you're going to lay them out exactly as they are printed out in the Prologue manual. So we're just going to build the board out all around here, and that's going to be our primary playing space. So we're going to get that built out, and we'll be right back. So once you have assembled all the pieces, your map is going to look just like this. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and place our spawn zones. All 4 of the spawn zones are going to be used, and they're going to orient just exactly like regular north, south, east, and west. And they're going to come to this little, they're going to, make sure you can see that. Alright, they're going to sit right on the line between the tiles, right where the arrow's pointed. That way you have 2 adjacent spaces right next to the spawn token. And we're going to repeat that all the way around the board. So we're going to have north up here, then east is going to go right here, and west is over here, and then south is right at the bottom. And the final thing we're going to do to set up this part is go ahead, I'm going to move this off to the side, but what we're going to be doing is actually bringing in our tracker board, and this is going to be set to the side. And again, we're not going to be using everything. This tracker board is really meant to, well, it's going to track a lot of things. It's going to first track our day progress and the big events on these when the meeples actually make it to that space. The other things are scavenging, crafting, guarding, and resting. Like I said, none of these are going to be used for the prologue. Really, all we're doing is tracking the impending doom is what it's called. So we have our zombie meeple here, and that's what we're going to go ahead and place onto the board. Maybe that makes it a little better to see. And that's all we need to do for the first part of setting up the safe house. And once I get all this set up, this will be on the other different set of the board. But when we come back, we will be setting up our card vault and getting our squad boards taken care of. Alright, so before we get into setting up the card vault and squad boards, I did forget to mention that we will also be pulling the safe house second floor tile. This is going to be used in conjunction with our larger map over here as a second part of the prologue. So we're just going to go ahead and pull this and set it aside. You can set it close to the board here, close to the action board, and now we can go ahead and move on to getting our other stuff set up. So the first thing we want to do is work on our card vault. I mentioned what cards we were going to be pulling earlier. The first ones are going to be our survivors. So we have our survivor deck here, and then we have this is basically a cover card, because the reason the cover card is needed is when you're drawing cards, you always want to draw survivor cards at random. But since they're double-sided, you know what you're going to be drawing, so you don't want to be able to see who is in the deck that's left, and you want to make it hopefully as random as possible. So that's why they gave the cover card here for that. So the first thing you want to do to get these decks ready to go is you want to pull all the cards in the deck that have this little bloody corner here. I believe there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so there are 10 cards with this little corner here. And what these are starting survivors. These are the ones that we can actually draw from to begin the game with. Alright, so you'll just go ahead and set that here and then set that aside. We're going to do the same thing for our armory cards. These all have the same backing, so we're not worried about a cover card on that. But then we're going to go and look for the ones that have the little bloody corner on the right side. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 cards that are starting armory. Double check just to make sure I didn't... 12. Looks like I didn't shuffle one through real well. So there should be 12 of those cards. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call that. Alright, so once we have those two decks pulled that have everything in it, all the starting cards, we're going to go ahead and give them all a really good shuffle, because we're going to be drawing random cards when we're setting up our squad boards and our hero stuff. So just want to make sure that those are good, and because a lot of them will have some repeats in there, so we want to make sure. I'll go ahead and cut that here. Same with the survivors. Even though we can see them, what we're going to do is put them on the bottom of the survivor deck. Okay, just like that. And then we'll put the starter cards on the bottom of the armory deck. So now we have those two decks are ready to go. We've set this, we want the horde card. Remember, we set that one aside as well. It's not going to go up here onto our normal play area. But you'll also need the perks deck, the resources deck, the food deck, and the critical wound deck. Alright, so that's our deck. It is set up, well, let me see, not deck, that's more of the card vault is what they want to call it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up each of our players' squad boards. So remember in the beginning when I only chose 2 squads to go with, I chose an orange squad and a blue squad. So for each of the squads, they have their corresponding miniatures to go with that. Should probably move that up a little bit. And try to get that light out of there. Alright. And the meeples also are going to go with the squad boards until we're ready to put those onto the action board. And we have these cards, which you could, the little, I guess you call them death cards or stash cards if you drop anything. Just kind of keep those with the player board. Now the first thing we want to do is we're going to deal 2, or each player is going to get 2 random starter survivors. That's why we shuffled the starter survivors with the corners, and then we put them on the bottom of the deck so we didn't know who we're drawing. So we're going to draw 2 randoms for the orange. So orange is going to get, what is that, Marcelina von Eschen? Man, give me an easy name. And then the next one is Teresa. Well, 2 Eschens, von Eschens. I wonder if they're family. Alright, next I'm going to draw 2 for blue, which is going to be Summer Morin and Kenny Maurer. Alright, so those are going to be our starting survivors. So these are what's going to go in to our, let's move this aside here so I can give you guys a good explanation of it. Alright, so when we're building our squad here, this one was for blue. We designate who's going to go in Survivor 1 and Survivor 2. Alright, it really doesn't matter. It's just going to be our starting survivor. So these are going to be Survivor 1 and Survivor 2. Now, to build our dials here, they have a health. This one has a health of 6, so we'll set our dials at 6. This one has a health of 8, so we'll set our dial at 8 for that. So that's not their total health like it was in the first game, but they each have a designated health pool for each survivor. Now their defense, we see down here, has this little armor icon here. The group itself is going to have a combined defense. So however many survivors we have in the group is going to dictate how much total defense we have. So both of them have a 2, so our defense is going to be put at a 4. Alright, the next thing we do is, well actually let me talk about the cards real quick. Alright, so we have 2 different sides for the cards. We're only going to be using one side of the card for the prologue, and it's actually going to be the knight side, the one that's got the black here. We already talked about the health, defense. There are 2 other stats here. One is speed, and the other smarts. Now smarts is going to be used for tests during the regular game, none of those which will be used during the prologue, but it is just something to note. Speed is how fast the group itself, this is a limitation, almost think of it as a speed limit. So it doesn't mean that this survivor can move 6 and this survivor here, which is marked at 5, can only move 5. It just denotes what the max speed that your group can go at, and it is defined by the lowest person in the group. So at this current time, the orange squad can only move at a max of 5 speed because that is their slowest person in the group. So if we got more and they were all 6s, it doesn't matter because our slowest person is still a 5. If we ever lost this person, then our speed would go up to 6. So that's how the speed works. And we talked about defense. We have these stats down here. This is your melee stat, not melee, this is your ranged combat stat. The knife is your melee stat. The wrench here is your tools for crafting and such. This one is for healing and first aid. This one, what is this, awareness, and I forgot what that one was. I'm trying to remember what that stat was. Let me see if I can go find that real quick. That is talk. That's for salesmanship, communication, and coercion. So those are all be used during the day and not at nighttime, I believe. So that's the only ones we're gonna be dealing with for the prologue are gonna be your ranged weapon stat and your melee stat, depending on which weapon that we're using. Speaking of weapons, that is our next. That is the next thing that we're going to be dealing with, is impromptu weapons. Now that's what the weapons that were called that had the little bloody corner, not starter weapons, but impromptu weapons that we put in the armory. So now what we're going to do is we're going to deal 2 at random to each player. So that's why we put those at the bottom of the deck, so we can randomly deal out 2. So first 2 is going to go to the orange squad. Okay, and then the next 2, got another golf club and a frying pan. Alright, so now that we have 2 starter weapons for each of the group, we can go ahead and assign those where they should go. What we want to look at is, move all that up, is we want to see where the survivors are proficient at. Right now, Marcelina is much more proficient in melee because she has a 2 than she is in ranged weapons. She's got a 0 there. So really she can't even use ranged weapons. She can only use melee weapons. So right now the 2 weapons we have, one is a golf club, which is a melee weapon only, and then the other one is a slingshot, which is a ranged weapon. So we know right off the bat we want to give Marcelina the golf club, and then we'll put her equipped item up here. We have our other survivor here, which is the same stat in melee weapon, but she does have 1 ranged combat, so we'll give her the ranged combat. It wouldn't matter if the golf club would have been just as strong in either one of these, but since she was the only one that could do ranged, we opted to give her that one. Alright, so the stats up in the card here, let me pull this one, is action points. This is how many action points we are going to have to spend in order to use this card, and that'll come up later when we're rolling the dice. This is our ranged symbol. That means how many spaces away this item can hit. This actually is a pretty good melee weapon because it can hit 2 spaces away, which has a nice range on it. And then it has some other things in the bottom here. It can be used as scrap, and we're not going to be using scrap during the prologue part, so we don't need to worry about that one. This one is knockdown. Knock down an adjacent target after making a basic attack with this weapon. Zombies who are knocked down stand up instead of moving. However, has a prerequisite of 3 melee. So she's not going to be able to use the knockdown stat until her melee is upgraded at least 1. So for our ranged weapon here, this one has an action point of 5, 3 range to 3 spaces away. It is a ranged weapon as denoted by that symbol here. Now this blue dice symbol, this means that we're going to be rolling, every time we fire it, we're going to be rolling one of our blue dice. The only symbol on the blue dice that makes any difference at all is this one right here, the one that says click. Alright, when that happens, that means our weapon is out of ammo. We're not allowed to use it anymore until we reload it. So if we were firing a pistol, then we would be able to, we wouldn't be able to use that weapon again until we got a reload. What's nice about the slingshot, though, is if you read down here, this one also is impromptu wood, may be discarded and used as wood at any time. But again, we're not doing any crafting or anything during the prologue, so we're not going to worry about that one. This one, though, is we spend 1 action point. It's easy reload. We can reload this weapon. So we don't have to go find anything out there or do any search for ammo. This is basically, we just have to sacrifice 1 action point and we can reload that. So this is a real nice little weapon there. And the other things that we're going to see on the card, and this is the same for all the weapons in the game so far, is this symbol right here. This means that it does 1 damage every time it's used. So if it's going to hit one of the zombies, it's going to do 1 point of damage. So that is our that is our orange board here. So this is all set up. Set that off to the side, and then go ahead and bring in the blue real quick and set that up. So we're going to put our, we'll just go ahead and put our first survivor as Kenny, second one is Summer, and we'll take the 2 here. Alright, so we have 2 melee weapons. Alright, so it really isn't going to matter where we put those. Kenny has a proficiency of 3 in melee, whereas Summer has a 2. So if we look at any of these, we look at the golf club here, and we see that the prerequisite of 3, he can use the knockdown. So this one would be better equipped to go in his hand, and then the frying pan can be, well, it's just going to go to her. They can both use the melee weapons, so that's good. A little bit tough because they are melee, so they're going to have to get up pretty close and personal, being as the range is only 1 on the frying pan. Golf club is a little better because it can stay away from 2. So right now that is our squad boards. They have all been set up and they are ready to go. So our next thing is we're going to be bringing back, I'm going to reset up now that I have all the components on the board or on the table, and we're ready to lay out this map the way it's supposed to be seen, and then we'll start spawning zombies onto the player board and getting ready for the start of the challenge. Alright, so before we get started with the spawning of the zombies and placement of the heroes on the board, or survivors, I wanted to go through a couple things that I didn't mention previously. The first one is each of the meeples for the heroes, or the survivor squads, is going to be placed on the starter space along with where the zombie was, or the meeple that represents the zombie. So they're all going to be on the player board on the little first X here. The next one was the hero cards have on their knight side, you're saying this is the side we start with, they all have a special trait that applies to them, and it's all going to be different per the survivor that you get, but I just wanted to highlight that these are here, so make sure you take note of them. For instance, this one here is when a Z is rolled, they can gain armor equal to the squad's highest smarts, only usable once per night. So in this case, if we were rolling a Z, then we could take that and say, well, the squad's highest smarts is 3, so we would basically be adding 3 to our defense pool. I forgot to set this one earlier. It should be at 5. Okay, maybe I did. Maybe they re-rolled on me. That was 4. Okay, so it's a nice little skill to use. And like I said, everybody has their own little stat here that they can use. Sometimes it'll say once per night, once per round, so you have to kind of take into consideration what that little special thing that each person gets. The next thing is, and I didn't notice this until I was actually reading through, making sure I didn't miss anything, was when we drew this slingshot card, which I said was actually pretty nice for the heroes. In the rule book, it actually does state that if you are playing with less than 4 players, do not include the slingshot. So in reality, this slingshot should have been taken out of the starter weapons when we originally started the game or started the draw. So I'm going to have to go ahead and draw a different card looks like I got the frying pan, which is another melee weapon, which is fine. And so we'll just go ahead and add that one to here. And we're leaving the slingshot card out. Now, the other thing that I did not mention is when we have the starter items all at the bottom that we were drawing randomly from, as soon as we were finished drawing the random items and getting everything set up, everything would then be shuffled together, all the starting weapons with the regular items, to form our final armory deck. So once we've got that all shuffled and taken care of, then we actually have a good drawable armory deck. The same applies for the survivors. We have all the starting survivors on the bottom here, so we need to take those and all the starting ones here on the bottom. So we need to take those, we need to just shuffle that with all of the other regular survivor cards in the game. And once that's done, then we'll actually have a good draw pile for the survivors. And I think that was everything that I needed to mention. And so yeah, so now once we come back again, we'll go ahead and get started with bringing in our heroes, spawning those, or survivors, sorry, and also where these need to be placed for the actual beginning of the prologue. Alright, so now that we have everything set and ready to go, now we can begin the part of the setup where we're spawning the zombies on and bringing our squads onto the board. For the prologue, we're going to start down here. Now, according to the picture, they have your 2 squads, one here, but you actually start off the board as and when it's your turn, then your first space is where you move on to. So if you want to get those set up, you don't have to put them there, but we'll put those there just for visualization purposes, so when we start, we'll know where we need to move on. The next thing we need to do is actually bring our zombies in. Per the instructions, we're bringing 2 zombies per 2 fresh zombies per player. So since we have 2 players, we're going to be bringing a total of 4 zombies in. Now, where you start these is you put them at the spawn points north, east, and west, but we skip the south. So where they want us to start is they want us to start at the north zone. Alright, so we have 1 fresh zombie there, and then we move to the next one, which is going to be the east, and then we skip the south zone, and then we move to the west. And then our final one is going to go back up, so we're going to have 2 at the north, 1 at the east, and 1 at the west. And that is all that we're going to be putting on the board as far as these zombies go. The next thing it wants us to do is place zombies, and I'll bring this over here so you can see it a little better, is it wants us to put 2 fresh zombies into the house that we're going to be actually oriented this way. that we're going to be protecting or going to save some survivors that are trapped in this location. The location of the 2 zombies are going to be right here, right next to the door, and then another one right here. Now, I forgot they actually did want us to bring in some tokens that I didn't realize, so I'll have to bring out some junk wall tokens. And it wants us to place one junk wall here and another one here. It's basically separating the 2 zombies here from entering the house or these rooms where our survivors are going to be. And to mark the survivors, we need to get out 2 tokens. These little ones with a question mark here, I think is going to be the ones they want us to use. Yeah. Alright. So we have number 2 is going to be here in the bed, and number 1 is also going to be in the bed right here. These denotes the survivors that are waiting for us to rescue them. And that's the only things that we're going to be placing on this tile here, so we can go ahead and set that to the side. And that's our objective, by the way, is to get up there into the house, first floor to the second floor, which brings us up into this tile here, so we can go ahead and try to take care of these, hopefully before these actually enter and get to them. So we've done our spawns in, and if we want to look at real close, I want to take a look at some of the spaces on the map so we can kind of talk about those. Alright, so if you look all over the map, you see spaces that have this this little radioactive symbol. We have spaces that have this little, basically, can't go here symbol. We have magnifying glasses, which is a search symbol. And our other symbol is this little, okay, right here. It's actually all 3 of them right here in this one spot. It's like a little triangle with an exclamation point in the side. That's about as detailed as I can get the camera in on that space. So for what these spaces are, is these are biohazard symbols. What's going to happen is, oh no, I'm sorry, that is the wrong space. I'm actually not seeing. I'm going to go over here. This is a biohazard symbol. This one will actually be ignoring for the prologue. We will not be doing anything with those spaces, so we don't really have to worry about their the effect that these are going to have if we step into those areas. These right here, which is the radiation symbols, if any one of our squads step into this space, 2 things are going to happen. One, we need to give a token to one of our, it's a double-sided token that come with the board. One is the radioactive symbol and the bio symbol, and then the other one's the radiation symbol. So we'll give this to one of the survivors in the squad. It can be any one of them, your choice, but you'll place that on their card. And whichever one you placed on the card of is going to take 1 point of damage immediately. So you have to be careful when going through the map not to step on these spaces if you can help it, because a lot's going to happen to you. The next symbol that we are going to look at is the searching symbol right here, the one with the magnifying glass. Now we are also ignoring this symbol for the prologue. The next one we have is the one with the little triangle with the, looks like a little exclamation point in there. What these are these are arduous terrain. These are going to be difficult for us to pass through, but not impassable. Meaning, if I move through here, normally if it was a clear walkway, it would only take me 1 action point to move from here to here. If I was moving to here, this is going to cost me 2 action points. So when you go through here, it takes a little bit to move through those spaces, one extra action point. Now, they don't block line of sight, and they're not impassable, so it just takes a little more to get through there. Just imagine climbing over that little part. The next one that we'll focus on is this one here. This one is impassable. This means I cannot pass through this space no matter what. And they do block line of sight. So this one, any space that has this one, I think we have one here, If you want to bring over here, I think we have one right here, that these do block line of sight, and they do block. So this whole space here is just completely impassable. The other notation for that is the red around the walls. This red outline along the walls here means that is an impassable space. So I can't go from this space to this space because of this wall here. And it does also block line of sight. So I think those are all of the symbols that we're going to talk about. And there is line of sight that it goes into, but I think what we're going to do is cover that during the actual movement of the zombies, and if we do any attacking during our round. The only other thing to mention is the spaces that the stairs are on. So we have a space here that says 2 second floor, and then we have our space over here that says 2 first floor. The way the directions describe it is these two spaces are linked. They are the same space. So if I was moving from here to here, I would automatically be on this space here, not counting that for a whole nother, not counting for 2 movement points. So I wouldn't say 1, 2, 3. This would be like 1, 2. So these are the same space, so I'm not going to double count those when I'm moving through for my action points. Alright, so now I think at this point we have everything set up. Everything is ready to go. So what we're going to do now is move into the next phase, which is basically starting the player's turn. And then we'll go through those step by step and hopefully get to killing some zombies and saving the people upstairs. Alright guys, I think we are finally ready to get started and moving onto the board, killing some zombies and taking care of this stuff. However, another stop. I forgot to spawn the weak zombies that actually go in the house here. And we'll do that real quick. So there's 5 inside, it's 1 inside each of the rooms here. Alright, and they have specific placements. One is going to go here. The next one, I believe, goes here. The next one is, there seem to be all right around the door spaces. One is here in this little bathroom area. And then I think we have one up in this, by the stairs there. Alright, now we have officially gotten the board set the way it needs to go. I know it's hard to see those gray zombies with the positioning of the camera. I'll try to get in as close as I can on that, but they are there. And we have our survivor starting down here. So that means we're now ready to finally go. The first thing is we need to assign which one of our players is first. I will just give it to the blue player. It's going to be our first player. And the next thing we need to do after that is start declaring some actions. Now, during the combat phase, which is the only phase that we're going to be in for the prologue, is you have 2 actions. You have move actions and you have combat actions. So we need to first create our action pool. So for every survivor that you have in your squad, you're going to roll 2 dice. So we're going to have a total of 4 dice roll for the blue squad. So here's my 4 red dice. We're going to roll those, and whatever result we get, we're going to go ahead and stack from greatest to least. So we had a 6, a 4, and 2 3s. Alright, so here's how we spend action points, and they're going to be the same for movement as they are for combat. We obviously know that we need to move our guys from here, where we're at the very bottom of the board, towards the house so we can get upstairs to protect our survivors that are up here. We have speeds listed on our card. For the blue survivor squad, one is a 5, another is a 6. Now we can only go as fast as our slowest survivor. So that means we can only go 5 steps for every movement action that we do. So we only need to spend a maximum of 5 points in order to activate our first movement actions. Now I have a 6, a 4, a 3, and a 3. So if I was to spend if I was to take this 6 here and declare that one for a movement action, I would still only get the 5 points, not 6. So I'm going to lose one of those points in spending this action here. Now, for example, if I had rolled a 4 and maybe I rolled a 1, I could say, well, I'm going to use 2 of these dice to make up my 5 points of movement that I can go. That's my max movement. So you can spend any number of dice that you want to on a movement action, as long as it's not, it can even be over the amount that you need. Like this 6 here is over the 5, so I'm going to lose 1 action points, but I really can't spend it any other way. So it's going to have to be the 6. So we're going to go ahead and declare that this is moving with my 6, and we'll move 5 spaces with blue. So they're going to go, we're going to want to decide where we want them to go first. If we want to take them through the house here, we're going to be running into 1, 2, 3 zombies right at the beginning. Or I could take them around to the side, which we're going to have to deal with a fresh zombie, and possibly this one if I make it far enough. We could kind of split off and go in 2 different directions. We'll have to see how it goes. Let's go ahead and take this blue one, and we'll take them straight up to the house here. So we're going to move 5 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you notice here real quick, I have this little symbol. That's a, what is it, arduous terrain, hard terrain, difficult terrain, however you want to call that. So my next space that I move here is going to cost me 2 action points. But I got as far as I could with the 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've gotten as far as I can go on that first movement action. Now I have some choices here. Is I can attack. My only option for attacking, since I can't hit this one on melee because I'm actually going through this space right here, which is going to prevent me from having line of sight, which is going to prevent me from using anything, even melee, to get to him. This one is too far away, again being blocked by this little, sorry, I know it's hard to see, but it's that little red line where the black spaces are. If you see that red line there, then that's going to block line of sight, and it's going to also prevent you from melee combating if they're in the adjacent space. So really the only one I have line of sight on is this one right here. So as far as my weapons go, I have the golf club and I have the pan. Now the pan can only get me 1 space, so that's not going to help anybody because I don't have any zombies that are in my line of sight 1 space away, but my golf club can go 2 spaces. Alright, so that is one that can actually hit this one right here. So for the golf club, I can use it 1 time for this round of combat, and it takes, so I'll pull that card up here, the golf club takes 6 action points to use, as indicated by this number up here. So I'm going to have to spend 6 dice, or I'm going to have to be able to have a 6, which I've already spent, or I have the option of using multiple dice to pay for this one. If I look at my hero, or the survivor that is going to be using the weapon, I look at his stat. His stat in melee weapon is 3. The 3 indicates that he can use up to 3 dice to pay for the action. So I can use 2 of these dice, which is 2 of the 3s, make a 6. I can use that to pay for the golf club. Alright, now that we've paid for that, we'll go ahead and execute it. So he's going to swing 2 spaces and take this one that's in front of him out. He has killed, the blue squad has killed 1 zombie. So now we're going to move the blue pip that it represents our squad up to the number 1 here. Alright, we have 4 action points left. We can use them to move, but then that's really all we're going to be able to use it on, because if we use it to activate the frying pan, like I said, there is nobody adjacent to us that we can get to. If I use that to move 4 spaces, I could get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would have 1 zombie coming after me, and these are going to move towards the stairs. This one will move towards me, so I'm going to probably be taking a few hits once they actually move, but I'm kind of at the point of the game. I need to get upstairs, so I need to try to move as quickly as I can. So we'll go ahead and sacrifice. We'll use those 4 action points for movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all the actions that the blue can spend, because now their dice pool has been completely used up. Or action pool, I should say. So the next person's turn is it's going to be the orange squad. So we're going to roll their action pool. Okay, they also did good. So a 6, a 5, a 5, and a 3. First thing we know we need to get is we need to move that orange squad somewhere. They have a max speed of 5 that they can move per movement action. So we'll go ahead and spend 1 of the 5 dice on movement and get them as far as we got before. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, that is as far as I can go. And I'm either going to have to spend more points on movement and then some points on combat if I want to try to work some of these zombies down. It looks like if I just go ahead and say I can move up to this space here with my 3, I'm going to make another move action with this 3. I'm going to go 1, 2, and keep myself there. The next action I'm going to make is I'm going to use my 6. I'm going to put that onto my golf club card, and just like before, I can hit a zombie that is 2 spaces away. 1, 2. I have direct line of sight on him. Okay, we'll focus in on that. So there's nothing preventing me from hitting this zombie right here because it's a clear line of sight. Alright, so we use our golf club, and remember what we get when we use the golf club is we get 1 point of damage. All of our weapons do 1 point of damage. Alright, and these zombies, the gray ones, they only take 1 point of damage to destroy. So we destroyed that one. That means orange is now going to move up 1 on the board and is now equal with blue. Alright, we still have 1 dice left in our action pool, and what I would like to spend it on is putting that on our frying pan, which takes 5 action points to activate. Now I can only hit things that are adjacent to me and clear line of sight. This one here is adjacent to me and I have clear line of sight on it. So for my last action, we'll go ahead and remove him from the board for 1 damage, and that then moves up the orange squad to the 2nd space on, or the 3rd space on the track. That completes everything that the orange squad can do, and that's all the actions that the heroes can do. And I don't think there's anything else that we can do. I haven't looked. Actually, I should be looking at my special actions here on my cards, but I totally forgot to do that. What I'm talking about are these right here. I did find a good use for these tokens. Maybe it is the use for them, but these are used for the action board, you know, when you're tracking scavenging, crafting, and all that. But during the night, when they haven't used their special night ability or combat ability, I'll leave these on the stars, and when they do, I'll just flip them over to the part that doesn't have the star, and that way it'll tell me if that one's used it or not, so I don't forget it. Alright, so now that we've gone, it is the zombie's turn. And during the zombie's turn, they're going to have 2 actions. 1, they're going to move, and they all move 3 spaces. The second one is they're going to attack either a survivor that they're adjacent to or a built fortification that they're adjacent to. So we'll go ahead and handle these here on the board first. And they're going to go towards either a survivor that they're in line of sight with, or if they don't have line of sight, they are going to go towards the stairs. Alright, so these down here, and they don't have line of sight. Zombie blocks line of sight for another zombie. So we're going to start with the closest zombies first. So we know this one's going to move in directly to blue. Alright, the next one does not have any line of sight on any of the heroes or survivors. I'm going to call them heroes. So this one is going to make it towards the stairs. So 1, And then at 2, he has line of sight on a survivor. So he's going to stop his path to the stairs, and he's going to worry about that survivor right there. This next one is going to move towards the stairs because it doesn't have any line of sight on a survivor. So 1, 2, 3. That's as far as he gets. This one also is going to move towards the stairs. 1, 2, 3. And these guys are going to move towards this open entrance here. It's the least guarded path. There's nothing, no special actions they have to do to get through there. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now I believe you can have 2 zombies in one space at any time. That's the max you can have in a space. So they're kind of joined up on this space right here, coming in and working towards the stairs. That's going to finish out all the movement that is on the board. Now we're going to have to deal with combat on the blue squad here, but before we do that, I'm going to bring us over to the stairs, or the top stairs here, and to see what's going on in this room. So here we have our survivors, 1 and 2. We have some junk walls here, and some fresh zombies trying to get into each of those rooms. Now for this prologue, what is going to happen is each zombie is going to attack the junk wall that they're adjacent to. If they roll a cumulative score of 8 or higher, that junk wall will be removed. So one at a time, we'll roll for this zombie. Okay, and they got a 4. So not high enough to break this junk wall. Next, we're going to roll for the next one. Okay, they got a 5. Not good enough to break the wall. So right now, our 2 survivors are safe. We're going to go ahead and set this back over here and get ready for the attacks that are coming in to the blue squad. So we'll be right back. Alright, so we have rolled a 6 and a 5. Any 6s that are rolled when you're talking about combat, your very first 2 dice roll, you draw a critical wound card. And before we draw the critical wound card, we know some damage points are going to be coming in. And those damage points are going to be allocated to a specific survivor. And we cannot use our defense wheel on it. So before even knowing how much damage is going to come in, I need to say what survivor is going to be getting that damage. Right now, my best one that has the most health is going to be my summer survivor here. Alright, so that's going to be the one getting the critical wound card. So we're going to go ahead and draw our first card. Our only one. So we have physical wound. 2 damage. She gets 2 damage right away. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and allocate that on our wheel. So we go from 7 to 5. And then we read the next part. X, Y, Z, X, Z, Y, X. Wait, where was I? The survivor has -1 smarts, -1 intellect. I'm not sure what that was. Now this card here is going to stay with us for the rest of the game, and that's going to be down there. And those are going to be used later on to calculate victory points if the survivor doesn't die. Okay, so now that we've finished up this part, the initial part of combat, we then look at how many zombies are attacking us. We have 2 weak zombies attacking, and for each weak zombie that's attacking you, that's 1 point of damage. So 2 total are coming into the survivor group, and I will take those off of the defense wheel. So we're going to go from a defense of 5 to a defense of 3. And after that's done, we are going to wrap up our first round of combat, and we're going to advance the zombies 1 on the track, and then we are going to place 1 square die or square marker onto round 1 of the tracker. This indicates that we have finished up round 1 and we still have 4 left to go. The next thing we're going to do is change the first player from blue to yellow, and then we start the next round of combat. So we're going to now start round 2, still in combat, and the biggest thing we need to do is get upstairs, because I feel like if these guys roll really well, then they're going to end up breaking these walls down and getting to our 2 survivors here, and then the mission is going to be over, because yeah, that's what we're after. So what I really need to do is try to get some good movement on these two, trying to avoid these and going up the stairs and maybe blocking them off up here, maybe preventing them from all moving in, because they're just gonna keep us pinned down here unless we move past. So first player to go is going to be the orange squad. So we're going to roll their 4 dice. Okay, they got a 5, a 4, a 2, and a 1. First thing I'd like to do is we can move a max of 5. So let's go ahead and we'll spend this 5 here on movement. Okay, and we can move through our own squad members. So we can move 1, 2, 3, 4, which brings us over here to this staircase, and then 5. That's the final one that we're moving on to. So we still have some movement left. I'd love to hit them with a golf club, but unfortunately, in order to do that, I'd have to be 1 closer. I don't know if I would be able to hit if I was here. 1, 2. I think I probably could. So if I spend this 1 for my next action, which is going to be movement, I'll move 1 point, since it was just a 1 here, which is the max I can go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is use my 4 and my 2, which makes 6, on my golf club. I'm then going to use the golf club to move over here, but before I do that, let me read my special actions that I have. This one is once per night I may reroll any number of unspent dice in my action pool. Okay, well, I'm pretty much spending all of them. This next one is a AP4 scrounger, draw a random food or resource. Okay, so neither of those really going to help me out. So we're going to use the golf club, which is going to be 2 spaces away. I should bring this over here so we can see a little bit better. Alright, so I'm using the golf club 2 spaces away to here. I should have good clear line of sight on it. That's going to give me 1 damage. 1 damage is going to take this fresh zombie down to a weak zombie. Alright. I'll also move the yellow meeple here to the next one for doing 1 point of damage on a fresh zombie to take them down to a weak. That is all the action points that the yellow squad can spend, so now it is the blue squad's turn. And they're going to roll their action pool. And they do okay. They got a 6, 2 4s, and a 2. So let's see what we can do with that. We can get upstairs. I hate using the 6 if I don't have to. So let's do this. Let's use a 4 and a 2. Let me look at my specials real quick. So this one is I discard 1 resource and deal 3 damage to a single target. Well, I don't have any scrap, so this one is not going to help me out at all for this mission. And this one is, if I roll a Z, I gain armor equal to my squad's highest smarts, only usable once per night. Well, with her -1, we have the smarts, it's 2. I could gain 2 defense if I use this 6 here that I rolled. But would I still be able to use anything else? If I use 4 to move, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I wouldn't be able to get all the way in. I'd have to use a 5 to get in. Probably not going to be able to use that Z for this round. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the 6 for movement. That's going to be our first action. Blue is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's as far as they can go. Their next action is they're going to use 6 dice, or they're going to use the 4 and the 2 on the golf club, because remember, they can use 2 dice on it because this one has a level of 3, so they can use up to 3 dice. Alright, they're going to activate the golf club, and they're going to hit this target, which is 2 away. Okay, 1 damage takes that down, so we can move our meeple up 1. here. We'll move the blue up 1. And now we can go back and we have this way cleared, which is good because this zombie is now going to go for us instead of attacking the wall during the combat. I still have, for the blue, I have 1/4 left. Really can't do anything for that, so it is going to be unspent, so we're just not going to use it. And that completes the survivor's turn, so all we have left now are the zombies' movement and attack. Alright, so the first one to move is going to be the closest one to the stairs. It's going to go 1, 2, and it's going to stop there. Can't go any further because it's going to attack the orange next. This one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and this one is 1. Okay, so this one's going to go. So 1, 2, it's going to stop there. And then what is this one? The fresh zombie is going to move 1, 2, 3. These are going to move 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this one here is going to move 1, 2, 3. And this one is going to turn because it sees us, line of sight. They're going to prefer the survivors. They're just going to go 1, 2, 3. That is all the movement they're going to do. When we come back, we'll handle the combat that is going to happen. Okay, so right now we're actually in a really good position. We only have one zombie attacking us, but everything else is getting funneled through the stairs. Everything else has got to come up through the stairs, and they can't move through each other, and it's going to block their line of sight. So where I have to just deal with these zombies one at a time as they're coming up the stairs. This one will come and hit us later, but we'll be able to attack him and probably saving both of the this one is going to be attacking us next round, but right now we have both of the survivors are okay because neither of the wall was broken down. So we are in a pretty good position right now. So we need to go ahead and handle this attack. We have only one zombie that has clear line of sight to us and is going to attack us. So the first thing that we're going to do is roll our 2 dice. Okay, we got a 3 and a 4. No Z's were rolled, so we do not take any critical wounds. Next, we only have one fresh zombie that's attacking the orange squad. So the orange squad is going to take 1 point of damage. Now we'll shift that off to the defense wheel, so they're now at a 3. That is the only one that's going to be able to attack and act this combat phase. Everybody else is kind of standing by for the next one. So we're going to end this round, and I goofed up on this one when I said last turn. The zombie meeple does not move until either it gets a kill on a survivor, or at the end of the round, or at the end of the combat phase in the horde round, when all of them flee off. At the 5th round, the zombies flee, and that's when we move the meeple up, depending on how many fresh zombies and how many weak zombies are on the board. So right now, that is sitting at a 1. And that's where it's going to stay, hopefully, so it won't kill any of our survivors. Now that's going to end the 2nd round of combat, so we're going to cover that up. We have 3 left, and now the first player belongs to the blue squad. Alright, I'm going to make a quick clarification, something that I should have done last round. When this zombie moved from downstairs to upstairs, I stopped it short because I said it didn't have enough room, so we were bottlenecking it. However, 2 zombies are enough to fill or can share the same space. So I would have had 2 zombies in this space right there, which means at the time the 2 dice roll still would have held, but I would have taken a 2nd point of damage on the blue, so my defense wheel would now go from a 3 to a 2. There is a rule in there called zombie shuffle, and it happens if it's basically, it says If a zombie's third space of movement is in a single turn would land them on a square that already has 2 zombies, it performs a zombie shuffle. Thematically, it pushes another zombie forward. However, to make things simpler, take the overflow zombie and place it on an adjacent open space. Alright, so if we have these guys that are moving up, we can't use the bottleneck thing that I was saying earlier. So we are in a little worse position than I thought. Because what's going to start happening is these fresh zombies are going to start making it up the stairs, overflowing and actually pushing out to adjacent space here, which is bad. So really we need to start working on getting these taken care of and maybe drawing them away from these walls here before we lose this one. So we're going to be going in. We have 3 more turns, and it looks like we're going to be starting with the blue player now. He is our first player. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and give him his action pool. Okay, which is not bad. Alright, so 5, a 4, or 2 4s, and a 1, which is not bad. That 5 and 1 I'd like to use definitely for the golf club swing, but I want to probably, I'm going to need to move first in order to get to this one here with both the frying pan and the golf club. I'm going to end up probably wasting some movement in order to do this. We can use the 5 and the 6, or the 5 and the 1 to make the 6, and we're going to allocate that to our golf club. So we're going to use the golf club. Our attacking is going to be our first action to change this one from a fresh zombie to a weak zombie. Alright, so we're going to move our meeple. Our blue meeple is going to go up 1. It's now the same with orange. We still have 8 action points left to spend. We're going to need to move. It's kind of a... See, I won't be able to because... Shoot. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to move and attack. Pretty much these are just going to go into movement. Oh, man. This is a tough little call here. I don't really know what to do. Okay. If I retreat back here, these guys are going to come for me. This one's going to try to break down that wall. I am in a pickle. Let me think about what my best move here is, and we'll come back to it. Alright, I think from everything I'm looking at and what's going to be coming up those stairs towards us is retreat is probably going to be the best option that we have. Alright, so for the remaining 4 action or 2 4 dice I have, I'm just going to spend 1 on movement points. We can move a total of 5, but I only need to move probably 1, 2, 3 back as far as I can go here. And then we're going to we basically have unspent points for that one, but that's okay. Alright, next is going to be our orange squad. Okay, they did alright. So got a 6, a 4, 3, and a 1. We could probably kill 2 things with the, oh yeah, we can do that. So we'll take the 6 that we rolled and we'll put that one on the golf club. That golf club is going to kill 1. Okay, moving our meeple up here, put that better into view, up 1. Next is we'll use the frying pan for 5 and take care of this one since it is adjacent. And we've hit the first 5 spot on here, which means, well, it doesn't really help us now, but at the end we'll actually be able to gain a perk for that. So we'll have to remember we've done that. And then for my final action, we have 3 here. I'll apply that to a movement as a retreat away and move 1, 2, 3. Now, knowing that, this zombie is now going to focus himself back onto the junk wall. But these green zombies won't be able to get us the next turn. We'll be able to come back out and start hitting them, and hopefully they'll get unlucky on that wall there. Alright, so we'll go ahead and handle that. We'll take care of this one since it already has something to attack. It's going to roll 2 dice. And 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so it did defeat this junk wall, and that is gone. Its turn is over. It cannot attack because it already finished that. So next we need to move these. They're going to get their 3 points of movement. So 1, 2, 3. This one is going to be in the same spot. This one is 1, 2, 3. It's going to move to the adjacent space here. And this one can only move 3, 1, 2, 3 to try to get to the stairs. Luckily, we moved, or that would have been a whole heck of a lot of attacks coming in at us that we might have lost some of our people. So we're going to kind of have to do a duck and cover situation here. Alright, so now we have ended round 3, and we have 2 more rounds to go. So we'll kind of keep the board looking like this since it's all taking place upstairs now, or most of it is. Alright, our first player is now the orange squad. So these will be our first to go. So let's go ahead and roll their action pool. Yeah. Not great. 3 4s and a 2. Now, in order to get to some of those, we need to kind of move to this space, do some ranged attacks, and then pop back. Now, we can only do, we have 6, it's probably going to be the golf club hit, and we're not going to be able to do, we'll have to do retreats or movement back in order to do that. Okay. So what we may do is I may pop out and just take care of this guy, and then that way these will all move back in towards us as long as they have line of sight on us. So that may work a little better, but we'll have to see. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use one of the dice for 4 for movement to bring myself out here. 1, 2. And I will ignore all of these zombies next to me. I will use the dice 4 and 2 for the golf club, total of 6. Gets me 1 hit. It'll be on this guy. And that brings orange now to 6 on the action board. And then we'll use our final dice of 4 to retreat back into the room. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so that's going to finish it for Orange Squad. Blue is next. So Blue is going to roll the action pool. Better. They got a 6, a 4, a 3, and a 1. Okay. So we know we want to use the 6 on the golf club, but at the end of this one, here's the kicker. We want these 3 to come in at us, otherwise they're going to be going for the survivor in that room first. So we need to kind of make a tough decision. So let me think about that for a second, and then when we come back we'll see what strategy I've come up with for this next play. I think this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to go with. I am going to move out with 3 out to here. I'm then going to try to take care of this one all together and leave myself pretty much out there to take the hits from these guys That way nothing comes down here to affect the two survivors down there, because just one movement, one getting in there, and me not getting to it in time means that one's gone. So we'll use our 3 dice for movement. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now I'm adjacent to this one and these two. I could take this one out with using the golf club and the frying pan, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my 6 for the golf club, which is going to take this one to a weak zombie. Give me 1 point. And then I'm going to use my dice as 4 and 1, which give me 5 for the frying pan, thus taking it out altogether and putting myself at 5. Now I have 2 that have reached the 5 space, so they'll both be getting perks. All of my actions are now spent, so at the next round of combat, 2 of these are going to be making an attack on yellow, but the positive note is they will not be going down and affecting the survivors. So we're going to go into the zombie turn now. We'll go ahead and move this one. This one's going to go 1, 2, and 3 up here. That's as far as it goes. It's not going to shuffle anything because it's just too far back. These 2, however, are going to be attacking the orange squad. So the first thing we do is roll 2 dice, and we hope we don't get any 6s. We got 1 6. So we need to designate who that attack is going to go to. I will designate our survivor number 1 because he is at the most health right now, at a health of 6. So the critical wound is physical wound, 2 damage, so he's going to go down to a 4. And okay, concentrate. 2 plus 3 equals, this survivor has -1 smarts and -1 intellect, intelligence, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. What is that one called again? I think I said that wrong earlier. I gotta look up what those are called. I'm like wasting you guys' time. Talk. Okay, this is -1 talk and -1 smart. So both of these guys in my blue squad. Oh, this isn't blue squad. Oh my god, crap. I just assigned that to the wrong one. Never mind. Alright, so in interest of being fair, I'll give that to survivor 1 on my orange squad. So that takes it from a 6 to a 4, and it's the same thing. They'll get the head wound. Alright, now that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 damage that this whole squad is taking. So we'll split that up. Survivor Teresa, she has 8 health, so I'm going to take off 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1 defense is coming off the wheel. So 4 total on that. That is going to end this combat phase. Everything is upstairs now, so that's where all the action is taking place. So this is going to move onto the 4. We only have 1 more round of combat left, and all we need to do is survive it. And if we do, everything is going to leave the board, all the zombies, and then we're going to have 1 because we will not have lost any of our survivors. Alright, first player for the last round is blue, the blue squad. So let's start by rolling their actions. Decent. A 6, a 4, 3, and a 1. Got to be careful about the wheels. They're very easily turned. So just once you're setting those numbers aside, be careful not to hit the dials. Alright, as it stands, blue is in a really bad position because they have to move out first to come out here to do some combat. That's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, because they can't move diagonal because of this blocked space. It's halfway blocked, so they got to come out through the door straight before they can move diagonal. Alright, so they're going to need to spend 1, 2, 3. They're going to need to spend at least 4 on that. So that leaves me kind of in a bad spot because now I won't be able to use the frying pan or the golf club. I can only use one of them. I won't be able to use both. Needless, we have to move out. So we're going to use a 4 for that, for movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. We still have 6 and... Well, actually we could get out of this without losing anything. Let's use the Z, the 6, to use the golf club. And we're going to hit this one, taking it down to a weak zombie. And I move the blue up 1 point on the tracker board. I can't fire anything else off, but I can use my 4 dice for movement. So where I want to go is bringing myself into this room to protect the survivor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is going to end blue. And now we go to orange squad, so we roll their actions. And this is good in the fact that we can fire off both of our weapons. We got a 6, a 5, and 2 1s. So we can hit with the golf club with the 6, which takes this one out. Gives me a 7 on the board. And then with the frying pan, we hit with a 5. We can take this one down to a weak zombie. And that one takes me to an 8 now. And with our last 2 points, last 2 1s, I will move 1, 2, and hopefully not get attacked too much by these guys. Alright, now that that is over, these are going to move, so we have 1 and 1, 2. They're both going to be in the same space. So they're attacking yellow. Orange, sorry. So we're going to roll our 2 dice. No critical wounds, yay. But we have 1, 2, 3 wounds. So we're going to divvy that out on our board here. So 1, 2, 3. Still have 1 defense. And at this point, we've finished our last round. Our last round of 5, which you can see from the board up there. This is the point where we claim victory, assuming, this is a big assumption, that I've done most everything correct. Alright, we win, we do the happy dance, we moved on out of the city, and now it's time to do what everyone else does. Get a vehicle. You should go for something sensible with good gas mileage and maybe a spiked grill. So, the house is ours. This is where we're staying, and now we'll move on to to the actual chapters of the game. And there are some things, so this is what we've gained as far as the survivors go. We got to an 8 for the orange squad and a 6 for the blue squad, so both of them will be getting a perk before the next scenario or the next chapter. So hopefully once I get those uploaded, once I get those played, I will get them uploaded with those upgrades, and we'll talk about those when I first get them going before the chapter starts. So I appreciate you sticking around with me. If you noticed anything I did wrong, which was probably a good chance of that, I will say, but let me know about it in the comments section of the video. Again, that will always help future people who watch this to be able to play better, and it'll help me play better too. I think for the most part I got these right, and things look pretty good to me, but I could be wrong, could be totally wrong. So again, I thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.